Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today's the day we're going to transplant my tomatoes. Now, I didn't get a chance to film when I planted the seeds, so today I wanted to go over what type of tomatoes I'm going to grow and how many of them I'm going to grow, because I'm vastly increasing my tomato production. Now, I used to have the goal of only 8 tomato plants because there's only me in my house right now that eats tomatoes, and I just didn't want to grow that many. But I've changed my mind, and I actually got some really fun tomato seeds from Jane Esplin, and she has a YouTube channel called Fun with Jane, and I'll link that down at the bottom. But anyway, she sent me a bunch of really neat varieties, and my goal is to have a bunch of different colors. I love watching those harvest videos where people have just bowlfuls of many colored tomatoes. Jane has one of those. James Prigioni is another one that I love to watch. He harvests a ton of tomatoes. So we're going to try that. Now, for myself, I'm only going to grow 18 tomatoes. Now, I know to some people that's like not even a drop in the bucket for how many tomatoes they would like to grow. But for me, that's a lot of tomatoes. So I'm going to have 18, and the rest I'm going to just have to figure out what to do with. So let's start with the first variety. Now, this is one of my very favorite varieties, one that I grow every single year, and this is called Jetstar. It's early producing, it gets really decent sized tomatoes, and the flavor is astounding. It's also extremely disease resistant. Now, I'm going to grow 3 of these just for myself. Now, the next 2 varieties are cherry tomatoes. One's one that I've always wanted to try, and that's called Brad's Atomic. Now, I'm only going to do one of those. I've heard mixed reviews online about the flavor, but I think they're absolutely gorgeous looking tomatoes, so we're going to have one of those. The next one is my all-time favorite, which is Sun Gold, and we're going to have 3 of those. One of these cherry tomato vines will give me a ton of tomatoes, but I need 3 for my purposes. Now, here's 2 more varieties from Jane. One is Dr. Wycheese. I've heard that's a really great variety. And another one is Kentucky Beefsteak, and I'm going to grow one of each of these for myself. This is another one of my favorites. It's a darker tomato. This is called Black Seaman. It's a red tomato where the shoulders are really dark, and I'm going to grow 3 of those for myself. This next variety is a Mana Orange. I'm going to do one of these for myself and then give the rest away. And from what I've seen on Jane's channel, this is another one from Jane. They're an absolutely gorgeous tomato, so I'm excited to try these. Now, the next variety is another one of my favorites. This is San Marzano. It's a paste tomato that it's kind of longer and skinnier. It has an excellent flavor, and it is fantastic dried. It also makes really good pastes and salsas. So I'm going to plant 3 of these for myself. The last 2 varieties has a variety that I have tried to find and grow for years, and it's pineapple. And thanks to Jane, I was able to get some seeds for pineapple tomatoes. So I'm going to plant one of those. And then the other one is an interesting looking one too. It's called Mushroom. It's got a really neat shape. It's kind of lumpy and bumpy. I don't know. I don't know. Go watch Jane's channel, and she will show you what the mushroom tomato looks like. So one of each of these for me, and the rest for other people. Now, I'm going to start my transplanting with the Jetstar, and I've done lots of transplant videos. We'll show you a little bit of what I'm doing, and then I'll do the rest off camera so I don't bore you. But if you look really carefully in each one of these cells, like this one only has 1 tomato, but in this one we have 2 tomatoes. Now, if you are really careful, you can separate out each of these tomatoes and put them and plant them up in their own pots so you don't lose any. So that's what I'm going to do today. And then I've already created a tag for each tomato so that they can all have their own tags. So we'll carefully pop this out. And as you can see, the roots are really nice. I really love these pots. I've featured these pots in other videos before. I've got these off Epic Gardening. I actually have some more coming. And they have slits down the side, and the bottom has a huge hole. That way they're easy to pop out of the cell and the roots don't circle. So it makes it really easy to separate them. So as you can see, they separate really easily. And now I'm just going to plant them up. Now I'm going to plant these tomatoes really deep. Because tomatoes will actually root all along their stem, and we want as many roots as possible. So now we've got one in. Let me get you closer to show you how I plant the other one. So as you can see, we've got nice long roots on this one. I'm going to dig a really deep hole, pull some of that soil out, stick the tomato in there, and tuck it in. So you can kind of see how I've put soil around the stem. It's buried quite deeply, but this will make for a nice, strong transplant. So now we've got 2 tomatoes planted. I'm going to get the rest done and show you what it all looks like. Here we have 72 tomato plants, 18 of which I'm going to keep. Now I think that's probably overplanting a little bit, but some came up more than one in each cell, and others I didn't know how many I really actually wanted to keep. And it's not going to be wasted. These have plenty of places they can go. I also, let me show you here, transplanted my basil. It's going to be ready to go out when the tomatoes go out. This is Thai basil right here in the front. The second one is just your regular green basil. The next one is opal basil, and then we have purple ruffles. They all smell fantastic. Now I'm really excited for tomato season. As you know, I've been growing tomatoes indoors, and I have been having good harvests, but the micro tomatoes, even though they're good, are not as good as like the Sun Gold and my larger tomatoes. So I'm really excited to have those going. Now I live in Utah. I live in zone, let's just say 6B. Sometimes, some winters it's a zone 7. So I'm going to be able to plant my tomatoes outside around Mother's Day, and I'm looking forward to that. So they've got probably 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. We'll see. And my peppers will go out around the same time. And my peppers are so huge right now that I'm actually going to be able to harvest peppers indoors. I started mine way too early. I potted them up to gallon containers. And maybe I'll show you those in another video. But I would love to hear if you've started your tomatoes yet. When do you put your tomatoes outside, and what are your favorite varieties? If you like my videos, please like and subscribe, share them with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.